I should apologize, Rena. I don't think I believed you. I'm really sorry about that. It's okay, Keiichi-kun. I'm just glad we didn't get caught. Who are they? Hello, Hazen. How are you? Are they pawns of those religious fanatics who are trying to revive the cult of Oyashiro-sama? I don't think they realize that they're pawns, but I'm sure the masterminds are using them as such. They must be the ones who have been pulling strings behind the scenes ever since the dam conflict. I heard that people working for the Sonosaki family did something similar during the dam conflict itself. Yes, everyone knows that. Oishi-san told me that. There was a kidnapping incident during the dam conflict. The case hasn't been disclosed to the public, but anyway, someone kidnapped the grandson of the Minister of Construction and coerced the minister into promising put a halt to the dam construction. The grandson of the minister was kidnapped? Hey, I've never heard about that before. I mean, that did happen, that's not a lie. The minister submitted to their demands and they made a deal behind the scenes. That's why the incident never went public. Oishi-san only knows about it because he was in danger of the case. Okay. And? According to Oishi-san, between kidnapping the minister's grandson and blackmailing him, their tactics were frighteningly advanced. The police know that the Sonosaki family gave orders to the kidnappers, but the case still remains unsolved. At the time, the head of the Sonosaki family, Oryu, had announced the plan to fight against the dam project by force. She even formed a special attacks corps using the Yakuza groups under the Sonosaki family's command. She was very serious about this plan to put the Ministry of Construction down by brute force if she couldn't stop the construction. Everybody knows that the Sonosaki family tried to help the dam project, even if it meant breaking the law. So I wasn't surprised to hear that she had a dangerous plan like that. Actually, I wouldn't be surprised if it was Mion who came up with the idea. The plan just sounded like her. Mion was like 15? Or younger during the dam project? I don't think she thought about that. In the end, the plan ended up nothing more than that, but the Special Attack Corps actually did undergo training, and very high-level training at that. Oishi had uncovered the information right after the dam conflict ended. At the time, Oreo even said that if the village was going to be submerged, all the members of the Onigafuchi Guardians would choose to stay in their houses and drown. So because Oreo was behind those things, I couldn't just laugh off the idea that an armed assault on the Ministry of Construction. According to the information Oishi seized, she planned a suicide mission as a last resort when the dam conflict started to heat up, in case the resistance wasn't successful. She had actually obtained weapons and put people through training for the sake of that plan. The Special Attacks Corps were flown to America, having received a huge amount of money from Oreo for for the operation. Oh, hello, Cody. How are you? with it. Her name is Oreo. No. Ugh. Okay, hang on. Let me. Why is the multi-chat not working? I'm good. I need to get good headphones charged up. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna close it. Alright, well. Multi-chat is unionizing and wants workers' rights. Multi-chat doesn't need workers' rights. It is an inanimate object. It has no use for such things. Okay, and I'll just have the YouTube over here and Twitch over there. I can read everything. If it wants to be such a pain in the ass. Okay. There you go. Alright, there you go. I feel like I missed something. Okay. While the plan was never carried out, the Special Attack Corps became a death squad under the direct control of Oreo. Oreo, I think. Yeah. Or Oro? Something like that. I don't know, I've never heard it said, is the thing. After they came back from America, they were involved in many unsolved terrorist incidents, and they succeeded in kidnapping the grandson of the minister as well. Sounds like it's from a movie or something. I mean, she's not, like, entirely incorrect. They did kidnap the grandson, that is true, but I don't think it wasn't like a whole, like, it wasn't like military black ops training or anything. They just drove to Tokyo and they just plucked the little boy off the street, which was very easy to do. It wasn't really it's really not as deep as he thinks it is. Do you remember how Mi-chan said that she would do anything from flying helicopters to using wireless radios? It's actually all true. It seems like Mi-chan joined in their training. So that was all true? Well, let's put that aside for now. Anyway, you have to at least believe that the Death Squad actually exists in Hinamizawa, and they're capable of kidnapping the grandson of a government minister. I didn't take a close look at the 4 men in the white van today, but thinking about it, they did look professional in a way. I'm sure they did. They were pretending to just be taking a break, but I could tell they were tense the whole time. So, are they really trying to kill you? I don't think so. If they really wanted to kill me, I'd be dead already. So, what do they want? Are they after Nakano-san's scrapbooks? Like you saw yourself, if the group is very cautious, unless we show them an opening, they won't resort to force. Hello, Arlie. If they were the type to use force outright, they would have attacked me in my sleep. They haven't done that yet, so they must mean they're taking it cautiously. They're probably not sure that I have the scrapbooks. They killed Mio-san and tried to dispose of them. But they found out the most important ones are missing. Another thing, she doesn't know how many scrapbooks Mio had, nor does she have any way to verify that those were the important ones. The only reason Mio gave her those ones in particular is because it had passages about the maggots in them, and she figured Rena would be interested in reading that. But everything else is just like, it's not that deep. They thought she thought she should give them to someone because they knew her life was in danger. Now they think I'm the one who has them. But they're not so sure, so they can't resort to violence. Rena, it sounds like you're playing a dangerous game. Yeah, I'm a bit scared. But they won't be able to erase me so easily. After all, I'm cooperating with Oishi-san. I've been frequently contacting him in case something happens. What did he say about them? He said he'd keep an eye on the Sonosaki family so he could catch them right away, if they were working behind the scenes. Did you tell him about the scrapbooks? No, I didn't. I think you should, he's an officer. I'm sure the police will help you. Keiji-kun. I can't even tell you the secret of this village because I'm not sure you would believe me. I don't think Oishi-san would believe me if I told him any of this. Rena, let's not make it more confusing than it already is. My day was good. How was your day? Just tell me. What is it? What's written in the scrapbooks? Your mom. Your mother. Nah. What's the secret that killed Mio-san? Simply put, if the things written in the scrapbooks are true, the god they worship will be dethroned. Their god? Dethroned? Yes. The sanctity of Orishio-sama will be lost. That's why they want to conceal the truth. And they want to resurrect people's belief in Orishio-sama. Rena, can you explain it a little more simply than that? I'm confused. In other words, Orishio-sama isn't a god. He isn't? I had no idea what she read that made her so certain, but whatever it was, it'd be sacrilegious for people who believed so strongly in Orishio-sama. There are many teachings of Orishio-sama, but the essence is as follows. Don't leave the village. and don't let anybody into the village. One could even say the rest of his teachings were developed to maintain those two fundamentals. It really wasn't until later on that they added aspects like love your neighbor or viewing him as a god of marriage and domestic prosperity. In other words, Oishiro-sama existed solely to stop the villagers from going outside the village. Oishiro-sama doesn't bless the villagers or protect them from disasters. The people believe that Oishiro-sama does all of that for them. The truth is that the people abused his name for that purpose, generation after generation, and nothing more than that. Why did Oishiro-sama descend in the first place? Because demons came out of Onikafuchi swamp and attacked people. In fact, that was the wrong interpretation. Demons didn't come out of the swamp and attack people. People became demons and attacked others when they were possessed by whatever came out of the swamp. Whatever came out of the swamp? What do you mean by that? Whatever came out of the swamp possessed people, crawled into their blood, controlled them, and turned them into demons. People had no resistance against whatever it was that came out of the swamp. They became demons, attacked the other villagers, and turned them into demons as well. That's right. It was a weird infectious disease that broke out from the swamp. It infected people, it made the infected people go out of control. The villagers saw this disaster and explained it like so. Evil demons came out from the bottom of the swamp, possessed people, and turned them into demons as well. That is the truth of the story, that the demons came out of Onikafuchi swamp. Herbo rabies? Basically. But, also, Senra, thanks for becoming a pack rabbit. I did not see the, follow notification, sorry. What was I saying? Yeah, didn't they say in the last, tips, they said that, what is it? It's like the hallucinating, when, like, a person hallucinating that they have bugs in their body, that's something that can be, how do I say this? It's very suggestive. So if one person claims that, it's very likely that other people can, like, start hallucinating the same thing. It's just, and yeah, it makes sense, cause, like, you know, years and years ago, before there was you know, science. Well, there always was science, but, you know, like, along the same line as I'm so itchy, aren't you itchy too? Yeah. But like that on steroids. And it's like, it would make, cause like, obviously before we had like science to explain stuff like that, you know, a bout of mass psychosis it would make sense that, you know, hundreds of years ago, people would assume what was, you know, mass psychosis was, you know, something else. You know? There's like so many times throughout history where people think that like something is like divine retribution or something, but it turns out like no. it was just an illness that went around or something like that. Especially like if you see the entire village just lost the plot and started going axe crazy, you probably took like a lot, like demons go crazy. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because a lot of time back before people knew, like really understood what illnesses were, people kind of just thought it was demons and stuff, right? So it would make sense that someone started having this hallucination, and then people are like, "Oh my gosh, it must be demons that came out from the swamp. We're fucked," because they didn't know. Pretty much other things, uncovered animals, other people would think of them as mystical creatures. Yeah. It's not a unicorn, it's just a rhinoceros. In reality, it's probably just a bunch of bandits or something, yeah. Or, yeah. Or maybe foreigners. It's not a dragon, just a dinosaur fossil. Big sad. Nah, it's just a really fat lizard, sorry. It actually explains the legend. So was Orishio-sama a doctor who came from a foreign country? Yes. That's not exactly correct, but he was something like that. Now it could even be a noble taking advantage of the people by saying like, I don't like so and so, kill him, say this person was possessed, was demon possessed and attacked him. Oh yeah, that too. It's not exactly correct, but he was something like that. He came to Onigafuchi and he treated the infectious disease. But he couldn't cure it for good. All his treatment could do was reduce the symptoms for the infection. Villagers would have their symptoms repressed, but there was no way to kill the parasites that infested them. After a while, the village was divided into two groups. One group was made up of people who were already infected, and the other consisted of people who weren't. Without a cure for the disease, the infected looked down on the people who could only suppress their violent symptoms. They even talked about drowning them in the swamp. But they knew killing the infected people wouldn't solve the problems. The parasites came out of their water resource, came out from their water sources, including Onigafuchi Swamp. They couldn't fill them all in, or if they did that, they would lose their access to drinking water. Another thing, it's not like Takano herself, when she's like compiling this information and writing these scrapbooks, it's not like she herself is stating them as fact. She's kind of just like, she's just gathering information and like working out theories based on what she has. But Rena and also Mion as well, they're reading this stuff and they're like, oh, this is true. Which is their problem. They're like, oh, this is true. But even talking to herself is just like, this is what I know. You can say if I'm still trying to figure out what the truth is, but this is what I know so far. It's just a theory, a Hinamizawa theory. They could have chosen to leave the village, but that was hard for them, for that was the location of their ancestors' graves. Under the power of Orishio-sama, infected people could live without showing symptoms. Takano is very objective in it. She's not like, yeah, this is 110% the truth. This is just a local legend I heard about, yeah. In fact, who's to say, like, once again, Rena only has one scrapbook. Who's to say that Takano doesn't have another scrapbook that contradicts everything that was written in that one? Who's to say? Who's to say? She's like, yeah, okay. So like, circling back to that theory, I'm not entirely sure about that because I read about this and I'm not sure about that. Who's to say? So both those who were infected and those who weren't decided to live together equally and coexist with the parasite. Orishio-sama was impressed by the villagers' decision, and he decided to stay there and continue to treat them. That's the true identity of Orishio-sama, the benefactor who stayed in the village to protect the lives of both human and demon. That's right. And Orishio-sama made rules in order to ensure the symptoms of the infected people would remain suppressed. The rules were to never leave the village, and never let anybody into the village. I understand why he wouldn't let anybody new into the village. It was to prevent the parasite from infecting anyone else. But I don't understand why he didn't want people to leave. For the same reason? If infected people left the village, they would infect somebody else. And then now that village is infected. Duh. Hadoy. Say nobody. That's what a quarantine is. Nobody comes in, nobody goes out. Keiichi. It seems like the parasite can only live in Hinamizawa because of the climate here. It comes in an outbreak of the symptoms in order to prevent the hosts from leaving the village when they try. That wouldn't make any sense. Because it would make sense if, like, the parasite couldn't live outside of Hinamizawa if it's not inside of a host. But once it's inside of a host, the climate is irrelevant to it. Because it's inside the body. And, you know, for example, and yeah, you see, there's a reason why, like, people with rabies, like, foam at the mouth, or like people and animals with rabies foam out the mouth, and they refuse to drink water because the parasite is, like, the virus is in the mouth, and if they drink water, it'll wash it out. But like it doesn't make sense. Yeah, rabies is very dangerous. So yeah, it doesn't make sense for, like, if it prefers a certain climate, that doesn't matter if it's inside a body. Also, how does this parasite spread? Is it through contact? Is it airborne? Is it through blood? That reaction is the truth behind the curse of Orishio-sama. The strongest symptoms of the infectious disease were violence and delirium. Also, typically speaking, a parasite doesn't really want to kill a host. The only time a parasite kills a host is when it's, like, ready to infect someone else. But typically speaking, a parasite wants to, like, live in the host for as long as possible. Because if the parasite dies, the host, like, if the host dies, the parasite dies, and it knows that. So, like, I mean, like, I'm just trying, I know, like, I'm applying logic to, like, a girl's, like, schizophrenic delusions, but, like, mayhaps if Keiichi asked these questions, maybe she might be able to be like, huh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. But no, he's just eating it. He's drinking the Kool-Aid. Jesus. You gonna join Heaven's Gate? Jeez, if Rena was like, hey, Keiichi, there's a new club I joined. It's called Heaven's Gate. Like, he'd be on board. He'd be, yeah, okay, cool, let's go. New club? Ugh. The strongest symptoms of the infected disease were violence and delirium. Infected people acted just like demons, and the impact of seeing them in the throes of the disease is strong enough to make others describe them as such. So, like, does the parasite want people to bite people so it can spread to others? Because then that makes sense. They couldn't even let people who had just come into the village. They couldn't even let people leave who had just come to the village. If they left after being infected, they might go crazy in a faraway land, turn into a vicious demon, and cause a disaster. Infected people were never allowed to live. When an infected person left the village, they brought him back by any means necessary. That was what it really meant to be demoned away. Wait a second, Rena. That means everybody in this village, including you and I, are infected. But nothing happens when we leave Hinamizawa. Yeah. Also, yeah, no one's asking, like, why is it just Okinomiya that's okay? Surely there's probably another town or two that's like a little bit closer to Okinomiya too. Why not? Why is that not lumped in together? If it's a climate thing, then like most of anything like within the area would have a similar climate, wouldn't it? In fact, many villagers move far away after getting married or something. I've never heard of any villagers who went crazy and turned into demons after they left Hinamizawa. You're right. That's because things went as Orishio-sama thought they would. Do you understand? He isolated the village for a long time in order to weaken the power of the parasite. Hosts are very important for parasites. If something happens to the host, the parasites that live in the host have to share the same fate. In other words, if the host went crazy and attacked people, the host would be captured and killed, which means the parasites would die with the host too. I see. Talking about natural selection. Dear. Good thinking, Keiichi-kun. That's exactly right. As a result of living in this village under such strict rules for a long time, people who were hypersensitive to the parasite went crazy and got killed. The strong parasites that made the infected people go crazy were also killed off due to the host's violent behaviors. As a result, only the parasites that acted nice to people lived on. That doesn't explain your crash outs when your parents got divorced, though. And that's the explanation behind the mix of human and demon blood that's written in the legend of Orishio-sama. Thank you for the head pat. It's confusion. So that means the parasite is almost harmless now. Yes. According to Mio-san's scrapbook, there are actually many people who are infected by harmless parasites. It depends on the local food and culture. For example, about 80% of the people who live in a country where meat is a staple food are infected by parasites. That's terrifying. But because parasites coexist with humans without doing any harm to them, nobody notices them and treats them, or tries to get rid of them. I see. In olden times, Watanagashi was called Harawatagashi. Hawawatanagashi. Harawata meaning guts. It's said that the people back then used to eat the guts of infected people who went crazy. It sounds awful, but it was something they had to do. Eating the infected people? Are you talking about a vaccine? You're very smart, Keiichi-kun. Would that work, though? Mio-san also interpreted it just like you did. In the legend, it says people cut open and ate the infected ones alive. But it actually wasn't anything grosser like that. They did it in a scientific way. They created a vaccine from the infected people who died from the extremely strong parasites, and that helped the uninfected villagers boost their immune system. But... what? Fucking what? Who was Oishiro-sama? Scientist? He must have come from a very advanced country. Was he German? Was the true identity of Oishiro-sama a foreign doctor who survived a shipwreck? I think that'd be the most likely answer. He wasn't German, but he was a doctor of some sort. It's kind of interesting to reveal the truth behind old legend. I don't think Rena's story is too crazy to be true anymore. It still sounds crazy, of course, but I've never heard any theories that explain the legend of this village better than this one. I'm infected by the parasite too, right? I feel itchy all over now. There it is. There it is. A person is like a universe. We have countless numbers of bacteria in our bodies. Some of those bacteria are essential to us staying alive. Oh, like bacteria in yogurt, right? I see. This is also what Mio-san wrote in her scrapbooks. You know termites, right? They eat wood. But they actually can't digest it themselves. They have a unique bacteria that decomposes the wood fibers. As a result, termites can absorb what they eat. That's one example of a species coexisting with parasites. I didn't know that. Well then, technically, if two organisms are coexisting with each other, it's technically not parasitism. Because the entire point of the symbiotic relationship of parasitism is one organism survives by doing harm to the other. So if the parasite in question isn't causing harm, then technically it's not really a parasite, right? When I heard the word parasites, I feel creeped out almost instinctively. But now I know some of them aren't bad to us. So the weird infectious disease that broke out from Onigafuji Swamp has been exterminated by now. Well, I wouldn't say exterminated. I should say it's harmless now. I thought it was a crazy story at first. But now I feel like I just saw the trick behind some crazy sort of magic. It's interesting. It is to us. But for the cult of Oishiro-sama, this must be a very annoying theory. Of course, if Takano-san's theory is correct, Oishiro-sama isn't a god. And the punishment by that god, namely the curse of Oishiro-sama, that people have been so afraid of, will turn out to have just been the symptoms of an infectious disease. I see. That's what dethroning a god would mean. So, if the pathogen of this infectious disease was identified and announced to the public, the power of Orishiro-sama would be completely lost. That's right. That's what they're afraid of. Miyo-san was going to identify the pathogen. And for that, she was killed. So that must mean she identified it. Maybe she did. But she's gone. She didn't say anything about that in her scrapbooks. And her text is almost red now, yeah. She'd be spiraling. That's the only reason I can think of, though. But it's the end of the 20th century. I'm sure the villagers have been examined by a lot of different medical institutions by now, right? I've never heard about anyone discovering a weird parasite like that. I know. It's true that the pathogen hasn't been found yet. In fact, there's evidence that there's some kind of parasite involved. What? Really? When a parasite enters a human body, that body's immune system cells, eosinophils and macrophages try to kill the parasite. They secrete an antibody called immunoglobulin E. The most common way of checking if a person is infected by a pathogen is to look at the levels of this secretion. According to Takano's research, people from Hinamizawa have a very high level of LGE in their blood. That's not all. I will say though, assuming Keiichi is right and Orishiro-sama is just some well-educated doctor that happened across an impoverished backwater swamp village and cures the plague, it would probably look quite like a holy being coming to save the day. That is true, yeah. He's like, yeah, he's like, obviously because he's foreign, he's gonna look different, and like, you know, everyone, like, nobody has seen like someone look like that before, so he's already has like an uncanny feel to him because of how he looks. And then he's like, oh, here, drink this elixir and like your sickness goes away. He's like, what the fuck? Is this guy God? that would make sense. Just be a traveling doctor, just happened upon a little swamp village and it was like, you know, let me help these people, and then all of a sudden they started being really nice to me, so I decided to stay. They also have obvious symptoms of being infected by parasites. They don't have any allergies. LGE stimulates mast cells, and they secrete histamines and serotonin as a result. These cause an allergic reaction. That allergic reaction isn't pleasant for humans, but it's necessary for the body to kill the pathogen. I like your funny words, magic woman. Yeah. But the parasites don't want to be killed, of course, so they secrete substances that counteract LGE. As a result, LGE stops stimulating the receptors of the mast cells, which stops secreting the chemical compounds. As a result, the antigen-antibody reaction, namely the allergic reaction, doesn't occur. In other words, a human body that was infected by a parasite secretes a high level of LGE, but doesn't display allergic reactions. For your information, a human body that is infected by a parasite doesn't suffer from hay fever. You may get hay fever due to your body secreting a large amount of LGE because it's mistaken pollen for a parasitic invasion. As a result, a large amount of stimulants like histamine will be secreted, but your body can't contain the parasite that it's attempting to kill. That's why your body continues to secrete LGE. As a result, the stimulants keep causing allergic reaction. That's how hay fever works. If you have a parasite in your body, it will deactivate your LGE and suppress the secretion of stimulants. As a result, you don't have an allergic reaction. In other words, there's no hay fever in Hinamizawa, and you can cure your hay fever by moving here. Yeah, okay. However, sometimes you're just not allergic to like the pollen in a specific place. You know? Like my little sister gets like hay fever pretty bad. But when she moved to the UK, she says she doesn't have allergies. So I guess she's allergic to like the pollen here, but not the pollen there. Which is, I don't know, it's just weird. I don't know why some like types of pollen cause allergic reactions in some people and some don't, but it can be like that. So it could just be that, like, I don't know, maybe you're just not allergic to the pollen in Hinamizawa. You know, different types of trees and plants have different types of pollen, so at least it's not wheat fever. Yeah. So we haven't been able to identify the pathogen, but there's no question about its existence. Yes, that's right. If that's true, the scrapbooks are a big threat to the believers of Oyashiro-sama. Are they overlooking the fact that the believers of Oyashiro-sama are all very old people? They're all very, very old people. What are they gonna do? How are they gonna organize this like top tier government conspiracy? They're old. They have dinner at 4 p.m. and by like 7 and by like 6:30 they're already tired. They're getting ready for bed. Like what do you mean? What do you mean? They don't identify the pathogen, but they clearly prove its existence. Yeah. It poses a big enough danger to them to make them think it's worth killing Mio-san. It really is a scary secret. I believe it because you took the time to explain it to me. But if you had skipped the details and told me only the conclusion, it really would have sounded too crazy to believe. I told you. I couldn't believe it at first, so I thought you definitely wouldn't. Like they said that, close friends and family members and lovers, tend to be at risk of being pulled into, people's delusions. Because of their relationship with the person, they're going to be inclined to, like, you know, to listen to them, and especially if the person in question does not know that, like, oh, my friend is like sick, so they think this way, but it's not true. So like, because Keiichi does not know that Rena is ill, he's just assuming she's just talking like completely clear, like completely like sane, but she's not. Granted, she has killed 2 people, so like that would probably like disturb you a little bit and open the floodgates a little bit. So what's important now is that there's a dangerous organization acting in the shadows to try and cover up the truth, right? Yes, that's the most important thing. The fanatics who want to revive the sanctity of the god they worship. Reviving the majesty of their god means reviving the power of that god. The power of their god is the infectious disease. This infectious disease can't spread nationwide, unlike other infectious diseases. So, from now on, I'm going to start calling it an endemic disease. That fits better since it only affects this region. Anyway, the endemic disease of current-day Hinamizawa is different from the one of old times. It's been through a process of natural selection, and it's harmless now. In other words, it doesn't do any harm to human bodies. That harm was once interpreted as a curse. A curse is the power of God, so a harmless endemic disease means that the god is powerless. It means the only way to regain the majesty of that god is to revive the curse. In other words, they want to bring back the primitive endemic disease, namely the harmful strong version of the parasite. Wait a second. These fanatics want to deny the fact that their god was actually a parasite. But you're saying they're researching the parasite. That's contradictory, isn't it? I know it is. I think that its research is a secret that only the heads of the fanatics are aware of. From the outside, they look like they're praising their god, but in actuality, they actually understand its true identity, and they're trying to revive its supernatural power with their own hand. I get it now. Oh my god, it's getting crazier and crazier. I didn't say in the scrapbooks, but I'm suspicious of the clinic manager. Suspicious of the clinic the manager owns. The Irie Clinic? Why? The facility is too big and fancy for Hinamizawa. Mio-san was working there. The manager might be a bacteriologist the Sonozaki family recruited. It can't be. I think Mio-san was murdered because she knew too much. If Mio worked at that hospital, why would she not also be in on it? Why would they only have the one doctor researching it? Wouldn't they want everybody in the doctor researching it? Everyone in the hospital be in on it? The reason why the manager wasn't murdered yet is because he's working for the fanatics in the first place. And he's researching the primitive form of the endemic disease. It's hard to believe that the coach we know is capable of doing things like that. I'm sorry. It might be totally irrelevant. It's just a wild guess. But someone is doing the research somewhere. That much is certain. And after 5 years, the research has finally been completed. The first case was a dismemberment murdered by the dam construction worker. The quarrel turned into a lynching. It might have had the primitive infectious disease, and the symptoms, the aggression and the delirium might have kicked in. The victims of the second year were Satoko's parents. They died in an accident. There are no witnesses, so the whole event is veiled in mystery, but there's a theory that someone might have pushed them over the cliff since the fence on the observation deck they fell from was quite sturdy. If one of them was infected by the what if one of them was infected by the primitive parasite? He or she might have become violent and pushed the other over the cliff. Let's not drag your friend's dead parents into your conspiracy theories, Rena. Let's not do that. It's a little. The Shinto priest died from a disease, and his wife drowned herself on the third year. He might have died from shock because of a hypersensitive reaction to the infection. His wife might have gone crazy and committed suicide when one of the symptoms, delirium, kicked in. In the fourth year, Satoshi Hojo's aunt was beaten to death, probably by Satoshi himself. Everybody who knew Satoshi-kun remembers how he changed at that time. He showed signs of being both aggressive and delirious because he was being abused. And you know that. You know that's why he was acting like that. Come on. The Lulu. And the fifth year. For the first time in 5 years, the victim experienced the maggot disease described in the old scroll of the Frude Shrine. The reason behind that is unclear, but the stronger primitive disease could have given its victims a delusion of maggots. It means they finally managed to duplicate the curse of Orishiro-sama. After 5 years of research. Tomitake is the victim of the fifth year. He died in an extremely abnormal way. I'm the only one who understands his death, because I experienced the same thing. He kept clawing at his throat to get rid of the maggots and died as a result. With all that explained, I finally understand the maggot disease I experienced in Irabaki. I left Hinamizawa, and it made the parasite in me uncomfortable. As a result, I tried to resist, even though I wasn't very strong, and it tried to make me homesick. But with my parents' divorce, I grew mentally unbalanced, and I completely lost the power to resist for a period of time. The parasite was weak and harmless, but my mental instability allowed it to worsen my symptoms dramatically. That makes no sense. As a result, I went crazy and became violent. The delusion of Orishiro-sama appearing to me in the bathroom was probably a terminal phase of my delirium. I created the supernatural existence, Orishiro-sama, that was instilled with when I was little, and persuaded myself to go back to Hinamizawa, based on that delusion. Some of the transcendents of Onigafuchi must have had the same kind of experience. They must have passed their experiences down as acts of God. I remember I once saw on TV that the indigenous people in South America used some kind of natural drugs in order to have a mystical experience, and that they called it a ritual to communicate with their gods. So, what the fanatics are trying to do is spread the primitive parasites throughout Hinamizawa. I think that's their goal. I don't think they'll do that without letting people know about it. Religions need ceremonies. So, if they created what they wanted to create, and if they decided to spread it, I think they'd name it the Day of Orishiro-sama's Revival or something, and they perform some kind of ceremony. It would be a celebration of the revival of Orishiro-sama. That's a bad thing, isn't it? I think you can say that, because they're trying to spread a very dangerous pathogen. Hey, isn't that bioterrorism? Jeez, this is very bad. They use it on Tomitake, confirming that they succeeded in duplicating the curse of Orishiro-sama, so that day of revival might be really soon. I don't know. Could happen in a few days, or it might take a year. This is way out of your league, Rena. This is a very serious conspiracy. There's nothing that we alone can do to stop them. We have to report it to the police. Do you think they will believe us? It's their choice whether to believe us or not. No matter what, we have to tell them. Eiichi. Telling Oishi-san about all this means telling him that I have the scrapbooks. Do you think that'd be a problem? Oishi-san came to me after Mio-san was murdered. When they killed Mio-san, they found out that her scrapbooks were missing. They also know that they met me at the library a few days ago. No way. You mean, yes. Oishi-san could be one of them. It's possible that Oishi thinks I have the scrapbooks, and he might be trying to find out. In fact, he looked very suspicious, and it seemed to me that he didn't really tell me everything he knew. He only told me things to make me suspicious of the Sonosaki family. He could have just been trying to look like he was on my side, and that he's actually their minion. That could not be further from the truth, Rena. Oishi is like... Oishi is like the #1 Sonosaki family, like... hater. But the police are our only hope. Casey-kun, you know about the case of the 4th year, don't you? Satoko-chan's aunt was murdered. I believe Satoshi-kun did it, but the police fingered a drug addict as the murderer. What do you think about that? Some of the fanatics are with the police? And they fabricated the murderer? It's the same with the autopsy of the Shinto priest, who they claim died from a disease, and the infection of the accident site where the Hojo couple died. If the police are on their side, it opens the door to many perfect crimes. The 3 families have been maintaining pressure on the police since the dam conflict. You've heard from Mi-chan that they also have considerable power over many organizations in Okinomiya, right? Yes, I have. It's not only Mion who told me that. Many people did. They told me the Sonosaki family holds influence over the whole city. That's right. You can't necessarily trust the police around here. Rena, please. I want to make one thing clear before we go on. Are the Sonosaki family the masterminds behind all this? Does that mean Mion is involved too? Please tell me. I don't know if Mi-chan or Rika-chan are directly involved or not. All I can say for sure is that the fanatics have the power to control the nerve centers of all the three families, including the most powerful family of all, the Sonozakis. I'm not sure if the fanatics are controlling the three families, or if the three families are the fanatics themselves. As long as we're not sure about their involvement, it's better for us to be extra careful around them. Is that what you're saying? Yes. I'm not saying that I don't trust Mi-chan. She's usually very reliable, and I asked her for help with any problem, but not this one. This is a little different. I don't know if you said it before, but although Mi-chan jokes around when she's with us, she can be a very cold person when she's acting as the successor of the Sonozaki family. Plus, even if she wasn't around, we would put her in danger if we told her about this. If she was on our side, that'd be really encouraging. I think we should tell her. No, we shouldn't. We shouldn't tell her until we can confirm she's not one of them. Sure, it'd be great if we could pull her to our side, but what if we couldn't? And like 6 episodes of having trust your friends be into them and they still don't get it. Right? Well, Rena has undiagnosed paranoid schizophrenia. What's Keiichi's excuse? What's Keiichi's excuse, huh? Rena has a doctor's note as to why she's not trusting her friends. So, how are we going to fight against them? Well, this is a battle you won't stand a chance of winning to begin with. Oh my god, Senro, thanks for subscribing. I appreciate it. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Higurashi, new account. Yeah? I'm not sure where you're from, but thank you. Thank you again. Oh, it's hand necklace. Hand necklace. It's you. Hi. Hello. Welcome back. Yes, hi. Sorry, it took me a second to figure that out. Well, thank you. Thank you. Much appreciated. Where was I? Yes. I hope you're having a good night. Well, this is a battle we don't stand a chance of winning to begin with. That's why I didn't want you to get involved. Damn it. Takano-san left us a big parting gift, didn't she? But because of that, we know about the conspiracy. I believe this is her will. 2 kids challenging the mastermind who controls the village? This is going to be tough. Ordinary methods won't work. But, Keiichi-kun, I'm glad I have you on my side. We can talk about it and plan things together. Of course. I've always been on your side, and I'm your friend. I know. Thank you. You're very reassuring. Heads are better than one. Yeah, I agree. You can come up with a plan for how we're going to fight against them together. I skipped school today because I wanted some time to read the scrapbooks again. but I'm going to school again tomorrow, and I'm going to act normal. They might sense something is wrong with me if I act different. You should do the same, Keiji-kun. Please be careful with Mi-chan. She's sometimes very perceptive. I'll act normal as if I don't know anything. Damn, I'm a bit scared. A huge conspiracy is right around the corner, and I might already be counting down to 0. It's hard to act normal knowing that. I don't think it's going to happen very soon. Like I said earlier, if they really are religious fanatics, they need a religious ceremony. They need the help of the whole village to hold. They'll need the help of the whole village to hold something like that. I can't think of any event other than Watsunagashi. So you're saying that we have time until at least the next Watsunagashi festival? Provided that we survive that long. I can't promise. I just can't think of any event other than that. I think we have a year at least. But I also feel like we don't, because of how they killed Mio-san. I might not know, but there might be a bigger religious event than Watsunagashi. It might not be long until that day. On the day of Oyashiro-sama's revival, they're going to spread a dangerous parasite, and that day might just be around the corner. Rena, are you still on the phone? Wrap it up soon, it's getting late. Father stuck his head out from the living room, telling me I need to hang up soon. I thought about telling him so many times. It's natural to think that your parents will be on your side no matter what, but I know just how weak he can get, so I couldn't tell him. I mean, yeah, that's true. I don't think he'd believe me anyway. Even if I told him, he'd just tell me to call the police. It's better that I don't tell him. They might get close to my father to get me. If he didn't know anything about anything, including the scrapbooks, there'd be nothing to squeeze out of him to begin with. I'm sorry, Keiji-kun. I have to go now. It's getting late. I'll see you at school. Okay, see you tomorrow. Careful, okay? You're not an outsider anymore. Yeah, I'll be careful. I remembered the suspicious men in the white van, and felt a chill run down my spine. They looked like villagers, but they weren't. They had the village accents, but they were just pretending. Hello, radio. You going to bed? The more I thought about it, the more suspicious they became. It let me know that Rena and I aren't safe. If Rena is right, I'll sleep well. If Rena is right, they're just suspicious of her, and they're not sure if she has the scrapbooks or not. It's still creepy. Sleep well. Rena and I probably experienced the same creepiness I felt when I saw the van several times up until now. She must sense the danger more than I do. The head pat. However, the fact that they weren't attacking, the fact that they were merely observing us, was disturbing. If they attacked her, she could have done something like going to the police. Good night, Arlie. Sleep well. But all they were doing was watching her from a distance. She can't do anything about it. She can't talk to anyone about it. She probably just wants to stay in her house all day. But if she acted different, they might take it as proof that she has the scrapbooks. You have to think about how to fight against them without making it obvious. I told myself there was no going back and I put down the phone. What could possibly go wrong? Next day, Rena came to school, acting normal, like she said she would. She talked with me as cheerfully as she always did, and it made me wonder if the story she told me last night was a complete fabrication. That's because the story really was too seriously crazy to believe. This village has a very weird and rare endemic disease, and there are religious fanatics who want to use the disease to revive their weird cult. And they've been researching the pathogen of the endemic disease so they can spread it throughout the village. I was deeply influenced by Rena last night, and I believed everything she said. But thinking about it with a cool mind under the bright sunlight, it sounds too crazy to be true. The story Rena told me is based on Takano-san's crazy hand-me-down ideas. It's based entirely on her theories, which, though very feasible, have no evidence whatsoever. The fact that Takano-san was murdered lends credit to the theory, I'll give you that, but... I looked at Mion. She was fooling around with Rena. It's weird to believe that she's involved in some crazy conspiracy. Hey, are you listening, Kei-chan? What? I'm sorry. I wasn't paying attention. Wake up, sleepyhead. You need to get enough sleep or your brain stops working. Mio made fun of me for reacting too slowly. It's almost impossible not to trust this bubbly, cheerful girl. I trust Mion. I trust my friends. I know she'd never have a hand in a crazy conspiracy like that. If she knew about it, she wouldn't be able to act this cheerfully. Rena told me not to tell Mion because she might be one of them, but it might be worth telling her without letting Rena know. Of course, there's at least a 1% chance that the conspiracy is true and that Mion is one of them. If so, I'd be doomed. But if I had to choose between believing the crazy conspiracy theory and trusting my friends, my answer would be obvious. I know that my friend Mion isn't a part of any conspiracy. She'd never be involved in something like that. Even if the conspiracy exists, I'm sure Mion will be on our side. So, whether or not it's true, it must be worth telling Mion about it. I don't know if that's a good idea or not. What's going on, Kei-chan? Why'd you call me out here? You told me not to tell anybody. You're not going to extort money from me, are you? That's the first thing. Is that the first thing you think of when you're called to the gymnasium storeroom? Oh, I know you want to give me a love letter, don't you? Ooh. People usually use the shoe locker for that, you know? We don't really do that in the city. A lot of guys hand over their love letters in person. Really? So, wait, you're, Oh yeah, Mion does have a crush on Keiichi, doesn't she? And, so does Rena. But, you know. She's like, oh, wait, you gonna give me a love letter? Plot twist, Keiichi forgets the conspiracy entirely and starts going out with Mion. He just completely forgets all about the crazy conspiracy theory because he's too busy going on dates and being lovey-dovey with his new girlfriend. You know, especially if it turns out Mion was in on it and it was part of the plan. It was part of the plan and he fell for it. He took the bait. Are you kidding me? That's not why I called you here. I have to talk to you about something very important. I want you to listen without making fun of me. What is it? You know that there are people who want to revive the cult of Orishiro-sama? Huh? Mion's just like me while I was reading for Rena's fucking rambles. Fucking what? What are you talking about? This, of course, is just my way of getting a feel for the situation. She's just looking at him like he can see his brain belt fighting for third place. It's like, what the... What? Eh? I wanted to see how she was going to react by getting straight to the point. But Mion really did look puzzled. People wouldn't normally react like this if someone pointed out their secrets out of the blue. They always panic, if only just a little. Either Mion was a brilliant actress, or she really didn't have anything to do with the idea of reviving Orishiro-sama. I decided to tell her everything. Mion, your family, the Sonozaki family, has a lot of influence in this region, including Hinamizawa, right? Do you think there's a possibility that they're working to revive the cult of Orishiro-sama behind the scenes? Revive? Why? Well, you know, people today don't worship Orishiro-sama like the people in the old days did. Yeah, that kind of just happens over time. In any area. In any area. People just kind of... You know? It's just stuff like that just kind of naturally tapers off as time goes on. So, people like the fundamentalists might be trying to make... So, people like the fundamentalists might be trying to make people worship Orishiro-sama in the same way as the people of Onigafuchi. What? He's like... What? Wait a second. I have no idea what you're talking about. Are you sure? You really have no idea what I'm talking about? Of course I don't. Sounds like one of those popular novels that sold 5 million copies all over America. Mion's reaction was very natural. It seemed impossible that she was pretending, as she didn't know anything about it. But regardless, I continued. Well, there are people like that in this village for real. I mean, yeah, older people tend to be religious. It really doesn't matter what the religion is. Older people are more likely to be religious than younger people. That's how it goes. Doesn't really mean there's a conspiracy. It's just life. Do you know anything about them? You're saying that those people want to make us worship Orishiro-sama like the people of Onigafuchi did. Well, what good will that do? You know, I think it means a lot to people who really believe. But think about it, Kei-chan. They would be happy to live under those strict ancient rules. In this day and age, it's almost impossible to live without leaving the village. But for example, think about Rika-chan. All the old people say she's a reincarnation of Orishiro-sama, right? Something that's very interesting. Why why is it always like, what was the thing? It's like five, it's like if like the firstborn daughter is a girl, like 5 generations in a row or 7 generations, then that girl is the reincarnation of Orishiro-sama. Oh, why does it have to be a girl? Is it just like weird backwater, superstitions, or but for example, think about Rika-chan. All the old people say she's a reincarnation of Orishiro-sama, right? Those people might be religious fanatics, and are you talking about old man Kimiyoshi? Well, I know he's a deeply religious man for sure, but he isn't a fanatic. Believe me, there really are people who are trying to revive the cult of Orishiro-sama. Okay, I'll believe you for now, because I want to hear the rest. Go on. They found out that the curse of Orishiro-sama is just an endemic disease unique to this village, so they're researching the pathogen. Where? First of all, what's an endemic disease? What's a pathogen? They sound gross. I was getting confused. I didn't know what I was talking about myself anymore. I was deeply influenced by Rena last night and believed everything she said. But having said it all out loud, I started realizing how impossible the story sounded. What's going on with you? Did Mio-san tell you all this? How do you know? She's infamous for this kind of thing. She's an occult maniac. She always makes up crazy stories. A few people have gotten badly taken in by her before. She told me some of her stories once, and I remember they were actually very interesting. Is that true? I think you've heard about this once or twice before. Hello. Hello, regular. Hi. It has been a while. I have not seen your name in the chat in a minute. I hope you're doing well. Welcome. I've been good. Stop. Or perhaps you've been lurking and I just didn't know. No person could lurk for months and I wouldn't know anything. You think cats think we're obscenely ugly because they're so much cuter than us? Probably. Absolutely, I think so. Absolutely. They're probably like, ugh. Ugh. So unfortunate. And if I stop in and just enjoy your voice while you read this horror story, of course, go ahead. Seems what everybody else has been doing. Uh, never move the fishing. Is that why Nani looks at me with absolute disdain? Maybe, but I think maybe that's just it's just how she shows love, you know? Like Teddy's cat Steven, he like he bites people a lot, but I think that's just how he shows love. Cause it's not hard. It's just like it's just a little nipple. I think that's just how he shows love. He doesn't bite me though. um, he bites Teddy though. He doesn't bite me though. Teddy says Steven is very annoying, but I don't think so. He's a good boy. He's just a old fat man. um they did a lot of oppressive things, like having very strict rules, very strict punishments, and a bunch of other cruel traditions. They're well known among occult fanatics. Mio-san is one of them. We love cats. We do. We love cats. I love animals. I love all kinds of animals, but I can't have every animal. I can't have every pet ever. If I had like Jeff Bezos money, I like open a big old farm with a bunch of animals. Yeah. I'm tall. Oh, I'm so tall. I walk on two legs. Where's my food? Yeah, probably. That's definitely what cats are thinking. But they can be sweet little creatures. I am 5'7", I think. That's literally above average height for a woman. Don't at me. So the story I heard about the weird parasite that controls the village was... What? A parasite? Is that a new story she came up with? What do you mean new story? Okay, Koala, we love short coins. I'm not short. I'm above average. I'm quite tall for a woman. I said don't at me. Go away. I'm quite tall for a woman, so... In fact, most VTubers are quite short. So... If there was like a VTuber basketball league, I would definitely be a candidate for such a thing on account of how tall I am. You know, when I was in high school, because I was quite tall, they used to ask me if I wanted to join the volleyball team. But I think they probably saw me like play volleyball during PE class, and then like after that nobody asked me that anymore. They probably were like yeah, ain't no way we're making it to nationals with this girl on our team. Never mind, we're not asking her to join the volleyball team anymore. What do you mean new story? I told you, Mio-san is an occult maniac. She studies the weird legends surrounding Onigafuji and enjoys making up hypotheses, theories, and wild stories about them. She's created a lot of different ones aside from... Makes you feel any better? I've been looking for a paintbrush for the past 5 minutes only to realize it was on top of my ear. Yeah. Thanks for that. She's created a lot of different ones aside from that theory that parasites are controlling the village. I once heard an awful one a while back that the one I heard a while back was about UFOs. That one was interesting since it connected a lot of different dots. The story was about a UFO that crashed into Onikafuji swamp long ago. The alien that was in that UFO and the villagers' battle, or something like that. It was like one of those sci-fi B-horror movies. The one Satsuko heard was a story about creatures from the bottom of the ocean. A movement in the Earth's crust opened up, a movement in the Earth crust opened a connection between that underwater world and Onikafuji swamp and... The princesses of the underworld fell in love with a young man in the village. It was like a sci-fi version of Romeo and Juliet. The story about the parasites you heard must be a new one. I hope she makes all of them into a book one day. The relief Keiichi must be feeling right now is immeasurable. Yeah, it's like, yeah, so she just did that. She just likes to make up like crazy stories about the... And like the thing about like Takano is she likes creeping people out. She like it's said all the time that like anytime someone says that they're feeling uncomfortable and like Takano is like, she's always enjoys it. She likes creeping people out. So it would make sense that she would make stories intentionally like that. And like, yeah, a story about like, you know, parasites in the village that live in your body and control you, that would freak a lot of people out. It makes sense she would write something like that. Oh, don't worry about it. She was just the crazy conspiracy theorist auntie for the whole village, yeah. Rena just happened to fall for it because Rena is mentally ill and this is 1983, so like, I don't know, good luck getting like quality mental health care. In the 1980s. In Japan. Really pulled short straws for that one, didn't you, Rena? Well, she makes one of the harder mental illnesses to treat. Also in the 1980s, where treatment for such a mental illness is pretty sparse. Also in Japan. Oofsies. I hope she makes all of them into a book one day. Mia began laughing so hard she had to hold her stomach. As I looked at her laughing like that, I realized I fell for something that ridiculous. At that point, it was obvious. I had been completely taken in. I'm sorry, Mian, but please answer my questions. First, do the fanatics who were trying to revive the cult of Orishiro-sama exist? Also, Madden, please don't make jokes about my race. I'm quite sensitive to that, and I don't appreciate that. Don't do that. It's like one of my rules. Never joke about that. Ever. Sorry, Mian, but please answer my questions first. Do the fanatics who are trying to revive the cult of Orishiro-sama exist? No, they don't. I mean, it's totally the opposite. The three families have agreed to open Hinamizawa to outsiders in order to make this village thrive. I'm not supposed to tell anybody about this, but there's a project to build a new highway by the end of the 20th century. The Sonozaki family is promoting its construction without informing the villagers. If all goes well, this whole area will flourish. My grandma is betting that she'll make a fortune when it causes land prices in the region to skyrocket. Well, most of the work will happen in the 21st century, so I'll likely end up taking over the project. So, you don't think there are people who hate outsiders? I told you, there's no such people. Real estate tycoon time. It's free real estate. Good night, Nadine. Sleep well. What makes you think we want this village more inconvenient than it already is? In fact, we've already started selling the land of the village to rich people who want to build country residencies here. Your house is on the first lot we sold, Kei-chan. Oh. One needs to update? Okay. Iki, sleep well, Madden. Didn't the villagers welcome you? The three families are trying to do everything they can to stop young people from leaving the village. There's nothing vague about what Mion said. Your story makes a lot more sense than Takano-san's delusional theories. Yeah, if they were so, like, if they hated outsiders so much, why would they allow somebody to buy land in their village and build a house on it and then move into said house with their family? And like, yeah, I'm sure like a lot of people probably would want to, since Hinamizawa is a nice place, it's a quiet country town. That's appealing to a lot of people. A lot of people might want to like build a house there. Maybe if not to live, maybe for like a summer home or something like that. Maybe like a long time ago they would be like exclusive, but like as in modern times, as time goes on, people are like less likely to be that way. You can't really afford to. Your story makes a lot more sense than Takano-san's delusional theories. And so Mion's words woke me up from that delusion. So, what about this? I'd love to move to such a place as long as there's good internet. Hello, Mr. Manager. I mean, like, I don't know, maybe if there's a lot of trees and stuff, wouldn't that interfere with the internet connection, or no? It can be hard to get a good connection if you're out in the boonies. But honestly, yeah, a quiet like country place seems a lot better, more cozy. I mean, like, living in cities is nice because there's lots of stuff to do, but it's also like, eh. And city people are also like not very nice people. City people notoriously kind of suck. You have to give up on a lot of conveniences, yeah. Good luck finding a DoorDash driver who's gonna drive to your house in like in the middle of fucking nowhere. Fucking $90 delivery fee. You're not delivering up there, fuck you. You'll have to go conditional copper wire style ADSL, but it can be done. Perhaps. Extraordinary high levels of something in their blood, and it proves that they're infected by parasites. Really? How did Mio-san figure that out? Takano-san's a nurse, I'm sure she can do that. And you think anyone would give her blood samples for no reason? Oh yeah. If you're like getting your blood tested, that's not something you do at a clinic. If you're getting like blood drawn, you're probably going to like a hospital for that. It's not really like a clinic. That's not a checkup at the clinic type thing. That's a hospital thing. Cause I sure don't. Even if she could get blood samples somehow, how and where would she examine them? How many blood samples do she think she examined all by herself? Miyama's right. I couldn't believe I thought Takano-san could do all this just because she was a nurse. It struck me hard to believe that she got that many blood samples and did a high-level examination like that without any help. When I thought about that rationally, I shouldn't have believed such a ridiculous story so easily. I heard that people here don't get hay fever, which is proof of their being infected by the parasite. Also, maybe they're just not allergic to the pollen here. Oh, yeah. If you live in the country, you probably wouldn't really get allergies, would you? If you're like outside, yeah, you probably wouldn't get allergies if you live really close to nature. Yeah, if you're like born and raised, like, yeah, you probably in like a rural area like this, you probably would be used to that. That makes a lot of sense. I live in a country where hay fever is pretty much unheard of. Yeah, some people just don't get it. No, but I have some family live out in the country and they go to stay for a while. My allergies just cease to exist entirely. Yeah. You could just not be, yeah, it's just like, oh. You're just not allergic to the pollen, and some people just aren't allergic to certain pollen in certain places. It's just like that. There's a lot of logical explanations to explain why people in Hinamizawa don't get hay fever. Maybe it has something to do with fuel emissions? Kei-chan, you're talking about Hinamizawa. I mean, even people in Okinomiya don't get hay fever, I think. Well, what about this? I heard that the Shonozaki family has a death squad and that they kidnapped the grandson of a government minister once. Okay. Them kidnapping the grandson of a government minister is true, but they definitely don't have a death squad. It was literally just two guys. That sounds cool. I wish I had a squad like that. Even I was sounding ridiculous. But I believed all of it last night. I believed it because Rena looked so serious. It's true that the grandson of a minister was found in Takasudo. We didn't do it. We just acted as if we did. That's... What do you mean? Please explain. Okay. The Onigafuchi Guardians protested violently during the Gam conflict. They did something close to terrorism as well. But there are people who use the resistance movement for their own benefit. There's a resistance movement for their own benefits. They used the name of Onigafuchi Guardians to rob people of money and valuables. The Onigafuchi Guardians were a very aggressive force at the time. There's a high possibility that some people thought they could use the name to extort money. The kidnapping case was one of those incidents. The kidnappers thought they could stifle the police investigation by acting like they were the Onigafuchi Guardians. They kidnapped the boy to demand a ransom. To tell you the truth, the members of the Onigafuchi Guardians were all very surprised. They were actually impressed that those guys actually pulled it off. I remember what they said. I remember they even said they give them an award. Wait a second. So, the Onigafuchi Guardians had nothing to do with the kidnapping? No, not at all. Rion said it firmly. It was a simple and clear answer, which left no room for suspicion. And thinking about it, it's not surprising. Kidnapping the grandson of a minister and negotiating with him in person is a huge deal. The Onigafuchi Guardians were a very aggressive group, but this operation wasn't so easy that it could be carried out by any of the normal residents of Hinamizawa. It's obviously the work of professional criminals without a doubt. Like I said earlier, the Sonozaki family acted as if we were the masterminds of the kidnapping case. What do you mean by that? This is the secret percept of the Sonozaki family. You can't tell anybody about it, okay? When an incident like this happens, we traditionally act as if we're responsible for it. It's a tradition of bluffing. Bluffing? Really? Yeah. It doesn't matter what it is. As long as it works out in our favor, it can be a criminal incident, the weather, or even lottery numbers. We act as if it happened because the Sonozaki family wanted it to happen. It does sound like we're a very powerful organization, doesn't it? That's the point. This is a secret strategy that only the Sonozaki family heads know about. This strategy is meant to make us look bigger and stronger than we really are. Wow. So, what about the plan they had during the dam conflict? The one to attack the Ministry of Construction. Is that true? I heard they obtained weapons and even trained for it. That was the spin we put on it. There's no way we could actually carry out a crazy plan like that. Our real goal was to make people believe we are capable of doing things like that so we could exact pressure on the government. That's all. They obtained weapons and went through a training just so they could exact pressure. They had no intention of actually carrying out the plan. The Sonozaki family was just bluffing. That made sense. Of course it did. It's impossible to attack the Ministry of Construction. Even if they did, it wouldn't solve the problem. All I had to do was use common sense. Man, they're really clout chasers, pretty much. Like, that was us. We were there. Even if they did, why would they... Oh, they would have been crushed within seconds by a huge number of policemen. Why didn't I think of that? What about the weapons and training? As for the weapons, no comment. But we did go through training. We needed to do that in order to make the bluff look real. We gathered some younger men from my father's office and appointed Kasai-san as the leader of the group. We went to a desert in Texas and played board games with some instructors, and then went sightseeing in San Francisco afterwards. Bruh. That was their training. That was your training arc. Fucking play airsoft. Played airsoft for a little bit, and then we went sightseeing in San Francisco, and then we went off. I couldn't think of anything else. It was obvious now. No, Rena and I both were completely fooled by the scrapbooks of Takano-san's delusion. Rena was so serious about it, so I believed her, but if you examined it closely, there were too many inconsistencies. I couldn't believe Rena took a delusion like that so seriously. I knew the reason why, though. She was still in a state of shock after being caught with the corpses that day. She was mentally unstable. Then she came across this tall tale, and she believed it. Rena is a smart girl. She wouldn't have taken it seriously if she was stable. Plus, another thing happened to wake me up from the delusion. The white man I saw yesterday came to school during the lunch break. The 4 men in work uniforms I saw were there too. I said thank you to Mion and followed them. The men who talked to me yesterday knocked the door of the teacher's office. Hello, I'm from Okunoki Gardeners. Oh, thank you for coming. It's very hot today, isn't it? Sure is. By the way, you look very beautiful today as always. Riz? Thank you. Well, you can start when you're ready. Yes, we'll start right away. My account manager told me to give this to you. The quote in the invoice, I see. The date is left blank on both of them. Oh, there shouldn't be any problem. Thank you so much. Right, we'll start right away. The man was talking to Shiei-sensei with a big smile. Hmm? What are you doing here, Nyalpaca? Oh, principal. Who is that guy? The principal pointed his finger at the window. When I looked out, I heard the noise of an engine starting. The noise was coming from the engine of a motorized lawnmower. I saw young men in work uniforms taking in another lawnmower, some brooms, and a ladder out of the van. Oh. Do you think maybe, I don't know, Rena's dad had called the gardening service or something, and maybe she wasn't there? Maybe her dad wasn't home and she wasn't home, and they weren't sure what to do, so they asked, like, oh, have you seen a girl in this outfit? Because, we need, so we can, like, I don't know, give her the invoice to give to her dad or something. that seems pretty plausible. They're gardeners. We haven't taken care of the grass around the fence and the trees for a long time. I wanted to clean them up before summer. Mr. Principal, thank you for giving us a call. The man noticed the principal, took off his hat, and bowed. No need. I trust your work. Please take care of things. I think we can finish it today. We might make a lot of noise, though. Each worker took one of the tools and walked towards the fence where the grass was growing. The engine of the lawnmower was very loud, and the kids were playing in the schoolyard looked at it curiously. Hey! It's dangerous out here. Go back to your classroom. It was Chie-sensei. She handed an envelope with documents in it to the principal. It said Okonogi Gardeners in green on the envelope. Principal, please sign the invoice and drop it off at their office next time you go to town hall. Of course. Will do. Chie-sensei. Did they come here yesterday? Yes. They came here to look at the grass late in the afternoon. They told me they got lost on the way back because they tried to take a shortcut. This village has a lot of small roads branching off everywhere. They can be very confusing. I remember when I came here, Jay-sensei started talking about when she got lost, and they left together. There's never anything suspicious to begin with. I thought they were suspicious yesterday because of what Rena told me. First I thought it wasn't unusual to see a white van. But then, right after I heard her creepy story, I saw a white van parked on the road and I got scared. The gardeners weren't familiar with the roads of Hinamizawa. They got lost trying to take a shortcut on their way back. That's all. I had it totally twisted around. I believed that fake-sounding story. I believed that the Sonosaki family was working behind the scenes, and I fabricated the existence of a group of fanatical believers in my mind. Worse, I doubted Mion. Damn it. I'm such a fool. She's my friend. We took each other's hands that day, saying we were a family made of friends and that friends were friends no matter what. That said, I said that, but then I doubted my friend. I'm so stupid. Anyway, Rena was the problem. She also needed to wake up from this crazy delusion. I had to hurry and wake her up. Rena seemed like she had no mind to listen to anyone else. She truly believes that the Sonosaki family are the masterminds of a large-scale conspiracy. I remember the plate number of the white van, and I also remembered their faces. Without a doubt, this was one of the vans that have been following me. Oh god. So far, I've considered that 3 or 4 cars have been following me. I could especially recall this white van because it had followed me around the longest of all. There are people in other cars that must be lookouts. The ones in this van must be tasked with direct contact, like kidnapping or assassination. The lookouts secure the surroundings, and the ones in this van attack the target. That's a common maneuver involved in both kidnapping and assassination. The scrapbook said that too. If so, I better watch out because it was them, not the lookouts who came to the school premises. I don't think they'll attack me while I'm at school. They're just cutting the grass. They're just cutting the grass. Doing a little landscaping. They're in the early state of their covert operation now, hiding their fangs and claws until the last stage of their horrifying scheme. That's why they won't take action in the school, where people are watching. But it looked like they were talking with Chie-sensei in a very friendly way. I could only hear bits and pieces of their conversation, but it sounded very suspicious. I'm sure it did. I tried to remember the chatter and movements of their mouths, and I played my memory of it, like a videotape in my mind. Okay, let's see Rena's distorted version of reality. Hello. Oh, thank you for coming. It's very hot today, isn't it? Sure it is. You blinked today. Thank you. Well, you can start whenever you're ready. Yes, we'll start right away. My account manager told me to give this to you. And I see that is left blank on... There shouldn't be any problem. Okay, even Even with like the bits and pieces that are blocked out, it doesn't really sound suspicious. It doesn't sound particularly incriminating. Thank you so much. Alright, well, I used the information I had to guess what was going on. I played the video again and again in my mind, and also paused and played it in slow motion again to check many times. Then something unbelievably horrifying started to emerge. There's no doubt that they were acquainted with Chie-sensei. But I've never seen them visit the school before, so it's hard to believe that Chie-sensei is their contact. There's no doubt that they're the death squad under direct control of the Sonosaki family. They have the local accent, which proves they're chosen from the Sonosaki family corps. The death squad was talking with Chie-sensei. They know each other. What's their relationship? Who's Chie-sensei anyway? During the dam conflict, Hinami-sama's school was closed and it was merged with the one in Okinomiya. But the Onigafuchi Guardians didn't accept that, and they made a part of the forestry service building into a school. But needless to say, the school they made didn't have a teacher. So, it was only going to be a token form of resistance. But a teacher who had a strong passion for education felt sorry for the children as he came to work there. That was Rumiko Chie-sensei. It was obviously strange. Teachers are government employees, and they normally belong to their prefectures. As long as they lay low and don't cause trouble, they don't get fired, and they don't get demoted. They can work up until the official retirement age, and they're guaranteed to get a fixed retirement fund. She was one of those government employees, but she defied the Board of Education to come work for Hinamizawa. Yeah. Because she saw that there was a school that needed a teacher. And she's like, well, I'm a teacher. I guess I'll go to that school. Because I care about being a teacher. It's really not that deep. The villagers admire her as a teacher of passion. I heard that Oryo Sonosaki herself successfully negotiated with the Board of Education that suspended Chie-sensei for defying their orders. It was easy to get an answer, despite connecting the dots. Chie-sensei was recruited by Oryo Sonosaki as a teacher to work at the quote-unquote school the Onigafuchi Guardians had created. In other words, she was already working for Oryo before she came here. As for the principal, he was the principal of a school in Hinamizawa from the beginning. He's a respected person of this region, and he's been closely associated with the three families for a long time. So that means this school has been under the control of the Sonosaki family all along. That's why Chie-sensei is equated with the death squad. It all makes sense now. Chie-sensei confirmed that I came to school today, made a phone call, and called them here. I don't know why she called them here. If she called them just to monitor me, they'd wait near the gate until class is over. But they came to the school premises. Why? Stop pretending to be a fool whenever you go. Do you think nothing will happen if you pretend not to notice it? Think hard. Calm down whenever you go. What will they try to do to me today in school? In school? Are they gonna do anything with my classmates and friends around me? It's easy. Chie-sensei will tell me to come to the teacher's office during the last class of the day. What about my clubmates? It's easy. Chie-sensei can make them go home early using her authority as a teacher. She can make up any reason she wants. Maybe the classroom's going to have carpentry work done today, so they can't stay in school. Sure is. Blank you blank today. Thank you. Well, you can start whenever you're ready. See? There's no doubt. They clearly said you're ready to do it today. They said you look pretty today, as always. And what else? Yes, we'll start right away. My account manager told me to give this to you. The blank and blank. Yes, I see. Blank is left blank on the blank. There shouldn't be any problem. Thank you so much. I see. They gave Chie-sensei an envelope with some documents in it. That blank is an airy phrase. Is my name supposed to be in the blank? Why is it left blank? What does it mean? I told you, Rena Ryukyu. Do you still think that nothing will happen if you pretend not to notice it? Stop that. So that must mean... If it's an order from higher up, it says to make Rena Ryukyu become blank. I took a peek from the shadows and saw the principal taking the documents out from the envelope. He started reading them. He looked stern. He looked very serious. I wish I could take a peek at the documents, but I was too far away. I kept looking at him just to see if he'd react at all, and then the envelope caught my eye. The envelope said, Okunogi Gardeners, and it had some numbers that looked like a phone number. Fortunately, I have good eyesight. I memorized the number. If they're a death squad, the gardening company must be a camouflage occupation. It probably doesn't even exist. I wanted to find out. I looked for a phone. There's only one phone and it's in the teacher's office. Fortunately, the teachers were chatting in the hallway, looking at the gardeners. It was now or never. I made sure nobody was watching me go to the teacher's office, rushed in and grabbed the phone on the principal's desk. I went over the phone number in my head and dialed it up. I'm glad they have a touch-tone phone. It would have been difficult if it was a rotary dial. If somebody answered, I'd only have to ask, is this the Okunogi Gardeners? I'd wait for the answer before hanging up. It'd be easy. It connected. The number you dialed is... Is it possible that she dialed the number wrong? She was pretty far away. And she's pretty unreliable. I don't believe that she was able to do it correctly. I felt a cold chill run through my body from the bottom of my feet. Wait, don't make a quick judgment. I might have remembered the number wrong. No, I know I remembered it right. It was an easy number to remember. It was impossible to remember it wrong. Then, did I dial it wrong? I put the phone down and started over. Why are all my viewers on YouTube today? Probably because I don't usually stream on Thursdays. So, so nobody's like really coming to the stream because I don't normally stream on Thursday. Probably because I don't stream on Thursdays. That's why I typically don't like to change the schedule, but you know, whatever. I put the phone down and started over. This time I dialed the number more slowly. The teachers might be coming back at any time. In that situation, it was risky to do anything slowly. But I needed to make absolutely sure. Yeah, generally speaking, if you stream on a specific day or an extended period of times and you randomly change up the schedule, yeah, well, generally probably won't come to the stream because they'll be like, oh, you stream this day, I will make time to be on the stream at this time on this day. Oh, it is different. Yeah, that's how scheduling works. Eddie. Number you dialed it's the same. There's no doubt. The company Okunogi Gardeners doesn't exist. It's just a camouflage occupation for the Sonozaki family's death squad. Please make sure the number you dialed is correct. The number you dialed is... I was too stunned to put down the receiver. The announcement kept running over and over again. The voice was cold and creepy. I hung up the phone and ran out of the teacher's office. I ran to the bathroom and held my head in an attempt to cool down. Calm down, Rena. Calm down, Rena Ryukyu. Stay cool. Rena Ryukyu. I wasn't safe here anymore. If I stayed here, I might be erased even in the open. They'd erase me? Why? They aren't certain that I have the scrapbooks. I told Keiichi-kun where I hid the scrapbooks. Yesterday I told him I hid them in my hideout in the garbage dump. Is Keiichi-kun in cahoots with the Sonozaki family? Oh god. I felt as if my head was a pot. My head was a pot that was cooking some dubious stew. There was only soup in my brain. I cut up clues, information, and facts just like I'd cut vegetables and threw them into the pot. Some of them were floating on the surface, and others were on the bottom of the pot. They were being cooked in a boiling soup. No, it can't be. Keiichi-kun is on my side. He's the only one who's on my side. He held out his hand to me in the trash piles. There's no lie in that hand. When he grabbed my wrist, I felt nothing but his strong and pure heart. He promised he'd be on my side. I shouldn't doubt Keiichi-kun. He's the only one I could trust. He's the only one who's on my side right now. I'm sorry, Keiichi-kun. I was about to doubt you. I'm really sorry. I'm so sorry. I said it out loud on purpose, full of regret that I doubted Keiichi-kun, the only one who's on my side. Now that I think about it, whether I have the scrapbooks or not might not matter to them. Erase anyone who's suspicious. That's the safest way. Does that mean they're in a hurry? The day of Orishio-sama's survival might be just around the corner. And that's why they're trying to get rid of any small fish bones that are stuck in the throat by any means before it's too late. We don't need her anymore. Just erase her if you're worried so much. I could easily picture Sonosaki saying that. Picture? No, she did say that. That's why they're here today. What should I do? What should I do? Should I wait until school is over? I was like a fish in a pond. No matter how many times I escaped from the net, I was in the pond, and they own the pond, and didn't stand a chance. Then what should I do now? I couldn't keep escaping from the net. I should get out of the pond. I don't know how to fight them. I don't know who's on my side. I was about to give in to despair. For now, I'd have to think about how to survive this. So I'd at least have time to think about how to fight against them. I have to get out of this pond. I was about to leave the bathroom. One of my classmates came in. I pretended to be sick and talked to the girl while leaning on the wall. I don't feel good. I think I better go home. Can you tell Chie-sensei I left school early? I shouldn't let Chie-sensei know that I'm leaving school early if I'm going to run away from them. A death flag? What's a death flag? I hope you know, the conspiracy is not real. The conspiracy is not real. Rena is a paranoid schizophrenic. None of that is true. All of that is not real. None of it is real. Yes, it's all. Yeah, it's all fake. It's not fake. Yeah, Rena is yeah. Like, yeah, the gardeners are in fact, it makes it worse, yes. Yeah, Keiichi talked to Mion and he figured everything out. Yeah, it's not real. Yeah. And Rena has a history of of being like this. Like years ago, she had um, like problems like this before, and she was fine for a while, but it seems that her symptoms have come back. um, but if I didn't, they might think I ran away without a cause. That might lead them to chase after me without mercy. If that happens, I don't stand a chance. They're planning to capture me after school is over, but I happen to feel sick and left school early. If they took it that way, they wouldn't think that I noticed the noose tightening around me. I was about to go back to the classroom to get my bag, but I changed my mind and turned around. I didn't need my bag anymore. I realized nobody was watching me, so I stopped pretending to be sick and started running. Kiyu-sensei, take a look at this. Take a look? Is something wrong with the documents? Yes. The date on the quote and the invoice are left blank. They're supposed to put today's date here. No. They wanted to leave them blank. They said they couldn't put the same date on the quote and the invoice. They're told to leave them blank by General Affairs. Oh, okay then. And this. The phone number on the invoice is different from the one on the envelope. Do you know which is the correct one? Oh, I didn't notice that. Hello, excuse me. Yes? What's the matter? The phone number on the invoice is different from the one on the envelope. Which one is correct? Oh. It's the one on the invoice. I used the old envelope we used at our former office. Oh. That's why the number didn't work when she dialed it. Because it was the old number. I'm sorry about that. I told our part-timer to add a stamp with the new number, but I guess he forgot. I apologize for the confusion. Can you just erase that number? Fuck. Rena's cook. Lunch takeout list 3. The danger of a culture-bound syndrome lies in the fact that it can easily trigger delusional misidentification syndrome. That is to say, in the current case, every time the patient sees something trivial, she tries to interpret it as a curse. And now every time she sees something trivial, she attributes it to the conspiracy. It is believed that it's a result of the accumulation of these events in understandable form. A delusional system is created, ultimately leading to paranoia. Furthermore, the patient is also exhibiting slight signs of a personality disorder. Of course, it's at a very mild level, but it's not causing any hindrance whatsoever to the patient's daily life. It's common for even healthy individuals to have primary delusions in their daily lives. But they usually ignore it automatically without recognition, since those delusions are nonsensical. However, there are cases where these delusions accumulate despite being incomprehensible. It largely depends on the particular characteristics of the individual, and it's believed that the patient shows relatively strong characteristics in this area. I believe you're very much aware that primary delusions are categorized in 3 different kinds. Delusional mood is the feeling of impending crisis without basis. Delusional intuition is the feeling of a sense of duty or goal without basis. Delusional perception is the feeling of a baseless cause against a baseless target. In the patient's case, it is believed that these incomprehensible delusions accumulated acted out simultaneously with the culture-bound syndrome, which triggered a delusional misidentification syndrome. And it ultimately caused the incomprehensible delusions to become understandable by interpreting them as a curse. The comprehensible delusional system induces understandable secondary delusions, further strengthening the patient's delusional system with the passage of time. The delusional parasitosis mentioned earlier can be considered a secondary delusion. A common factor in all of these cases of paranoia is that even after an outbreak, they still appear perfectly normal with no changes in their personalities. The patients are unaware in their own ailments, and due to their personal interpretations of their delusional system, there are many cases where patients arm themselves logically, making it extremely difficult for a third party to point out that they're having a delusion. Furthermore, although it may depend on the tendency of the delusions, there are also cases where a persecutory delusion turns into a pursuit delusion, or a conspiracy delusion, resulting in the patient creating an imaginary enemy and taking up antisocial behavior. Like what she's doing now. For example, there are cases where believers of a religious cult are deeply influenced by the cult founder's paranoid visions, which shifted the group into conspiracy delusion and made them conduct antisocial behavior in the name of self-defense. Although no such cases have been reported in Japan yet, it could very well happen in the near future. Fortunately, the patient hasn't reached that serious condition as of now. With proper treatment, she should make a full recovery. Please make sure that her father also understands this is not an unusual case, but something caused by the accumulation of a number of innocent factors that anyone could have. The patient can be treated only by deepening her bond with her father. As long as she has that bond, she can certainly be treated. Oh. And that bond was broken when her dad started dating that other... Oh, okay. For the reason above, the patient is to return to her home village. I strongly recommend that the patient continue to receive guidance from specialized medical institutions. Please excuse me for writing such a long letter. Thank you for reading this until the very end. We might be cooked. Okay. My throat is a little bit scratchy, so I think I'll end the stream for now. But I will be live tomorrow again at the same time, so we can continue. I think we have 4 more. Okay, we have 4 more chapters, so we can do 2 tomorrow, and then we can finish it. And we can finish the game on next Tuesday. Yeah. So yes. So I would like to finish. Ideally, I would like to finish this chapter before I go to on vacation. I had a lot of fun too. I will see you guys tomorrow. Yes. Hang on, let me move over. Yeah, I'll be live. I'll be live tomorrow. Take care, everyone. Good night. Yes, sleep well, everyone.